Ever since I was really young, I've been watching and observing all of my brothers and sisters. And really, one of the most motivating things about my high school years is this banner up in the high school gym that we had. My sister Beth was up on that banner for having won a state championship. What I loved most about that, it was like a kind of a daily reminder of something that my sister Beth had done and I was yet to be able to achieve. So my senior year in the state championship game, able to finally get redemption, I guess, on this banner that had been staring at me for so many years. Game starts, we're playing really well, we score a bunch of goals, 19 minutes left in the second half, we're winning 3-0. I'm thinking, oh, we got this in the bag. They end up scoring a goal, but they score another goal, and so one goal left, to tie the game, send it to overtime. Everything kind of fell apart for our team. Massapequa scored again, sends it in overtime, and they end up scoring in double overtime, and back then, the game ended. I sank to my knees and cried. I guess it was one of the first true tastes of failure that I had ever experienced. I felt like maybe it would define me. And the beauty of it is that it ended up defining me in probably the best possible way. July 17th, 2011, why is that day special? And I even asked players that weren't on the team. They think about it, and every single person's like, World Cup final, we lost it. And I was like, exactly. Don't forget that. Every time you fall down, it gives you an opportunity to question yourself, question your integrity, your character, your personality, the decisions you made leading up to it, were they good enough? Those are the things that I've learned most about myself when I failed or fell down. It's not about the actual failure itself, it's how you respond to it.
Please help me in welcoming Abby Wambach.
What's up? How's lunch? I didn't even have any yet. Gosh. I'm Abby Wambach, and I want to thank all the men for being in here. Truthfully, though, I think that it's undervalued in terms of pushing our agenda forward, and we need men. We need men to help push this agenda forward, and I really, and I know I was a little bit joking, it's really important that the men here are equally respected and, in fact, celebrated for being here because they're putting themselves in an environment to learn. So. Wow, there is a lot of people here. Cool. So I'm the youngest of 7. You guys heard a little bit on that video. And I've made some mistakes, especially recently. I don't know if you guys saw the news. But I think it's important that not only we talk about the elephants that are in all of our metaphoric rooms, but that we acknowledge, hey, I made a mistake. It's not going to define me, but it's surely going to impact me. And I want you guys to know that no matter what happens in my life, my successes and my failures, I'm comfortable talking about them, as should we all be comfortable talking about everything that happens. And I've been talking a little bit today, and it makes me realize all of us have a story, okay? All of us have something, whether it's a workplace story, whether it's an executive level story. And what I've realized over the last couple of weeks of my life is everybody wants to hide their scars or their skeletons, especially when it becomes about work. And if there's an issue that's happened at work or a discrimination that's happened at work, you don't talk about it as much. It's embarrassing, you might be ashamed, you don't want to ruin your business name. We need to talk about these scars and skeletons. We have to share these stories, especially in this room, where you're among people that are in the same situation that you're in. If we don't talk about the things that happen, especially the things that are discriminating, that are disrespectful, how are we going to fix them? If you have anything that's gone wrong in your life, the reason why people don't talk about it is because they're embarrassed, or they think that they're the only one that this has happened to. And I can tell you from experience, you are not alone. You're not alone, and you have to speak up for yourself and for the person next to you, and then, of course, the generation behind you. Too often do we walk into a room and think that we are alone. You're not. So if something bad happens, talk about it. Talk about it with your employer, with your boss, with your family, with your friends, with your coworkers. You have to. I'm very lucky to have played for so many years to represent my country. I mean, it was 30 years that I played soccer. Yeah. I just actually recently took about 5.5 months off of working out. I have these things called love handles now. Not cool. So I actually just went on a hike last Sunday. It's like 7.5 mile hike, and it was straight up and straight down. And this might make you feel better about yourself, I don't know, but I am still sore. Like, I can't, I have to work myself down on the toilet. It's horrible. You're not alone. Representing your country and working towards a bigger future, something that, in high school, I didn't even know that it was possible for me to be a professional athlete. I didn't really even know what that meant. All I knew was that Michael Jordan was really good at basketball. And there's obviously a lot of reasons. If you go back 20 years, social media wasn't as popular as it is now, and ESPN and all these sport channels that air sports, women's sports wasn't even an option. And I think it's really important that we talk about how we got here. Title IX was enacted into law in 1972. That was pretty long ago. Why now are we seeing kind of this thing, the turnover, the tipping point, if you will, with women's pro sports? And a huge reason is because it takes a little bit of time for not only the law to actually become, and universities and such to become compliant, but there's some turnover in terms of the mindset of it all. And something that is so interesting over the course of my career that I learned was I got in on the national team with when Mia and Julie Foudy, they were big timers. And so I just was going to listen and do anything that they told me to do. And then if you fast forward to the end of my career, you have some kids coming on this scene that are feeling a little bit like they're entitled to everything. We call them the millennials, right? And I laugh now because there's so many people in the world, my parents, older people that are, I'm not supposed to say elderly because I guess you have to be a certain age. My mom corrected me on that. That they're frustrated with these millennials. And I'm like, hold on a second. Isn't that the whole point? Like, Dad, it's physically impossible to have walked uphill both ways to school in snow. So this is just what happens generationally with life, and the millennials are no different. They have more experience, they have more opportunity, especially these female athletes. And so they are coming to expect greatness, expect excellence. Why are we going to piss and moan about these women who are like, no, we deserve better? Isn't that the whole point? Like, isn't that the whole point of this whole conference? So just remember that. Remember that when a millennial comes into your world and you're like, in the back of your mind, you're like, you haven't really earned anything yet. We all do it. Have a moment of celebration, especially for those women. Like, hell yeah, you do deserve this. Because I tell you what, when I retired 5.5 months ago and grew these love handles, I turned this chapter and I was like, gosh, I could have done more. I should have done more. And I know I did a lot, don't get me wrong, I know that. But when you retire for something, you get to actually gain perspective of what you just were part of. And there's so much frustration in my bones and in my blood right now because I could have done more. Now, I'm not a person that lives with regret. I'm not a person that always looks behind, but I have to be conscious of where I came from to how I got here. And part of that is being really hard and honest with yourself. Maybe I was a little bit too scared. Maybe I didn't know what to say or how to say it. Maybe I have it so innately and deeply ingrained in my bones that I'm supposed to be grateful for getting a paycheck, that I'm supposed to be paid less than, treated less than, respected less than. Maybe it's just so deep inside of me that I didn't want to rock the boat. I didn't want to lose my position. I didn't want to lose my job or the ability to pay my mortgage. I'm here to tell you that every person in this room has to start rocking their own boat. You have to. Yes. Because if you don't, I'm telling you, you're going to be pissed off. You will. There will come a time in your life where you will turn your chapter and you will be angry that you didn't do more. You didn't rock the boat enough. You didn't speak up in that meeting. I've been reading a lot of books. I've got a lot of time on my hands. And there's this one, it's called Start with the Why. And it's this interesting idea of goal setting and trying to find purpose and starting with your why. Like, why are we doing this? Why are you guys here? Ask yourself this. What's your purpose? Because quite frankly, after turning the chapter of my career, I have to start over. What am I doing? And it's fun to get to talk to so many people like you, beautiful folks. But the reality is I am disappointed with how much I could have done. And ironically, my former teammates, it's like we almost wrote this script, but I have nothing to do with them anymore. And now they've decided to file this lawsuit against U.S. Soccer for equal pay. It's actually amazing. Really proud of them. And it's funny because a lot of people are like, especially the guys team, they're like, hey, this isn't, we deserve to be paid too. Well, they see that there's an actual issue that's happening, that's been happening. And if you look at the actual statistics and the facts and the data, the women's national team made in the 20s of millions of dollars. And we're still paid less than the men's team. And the men's team lost $2 million last year. It's kind of a lot of difference. And nothing against the men's team, because we don't want to take anything away from them. They don't want to take anything away from them. But we deserve to be paid what we're due. And the women's team seems to win championships, like a lot of them. I mean, 2 + 2 = 4, right? And I think it's so important that these women stand up, because even if they're not going to necessarily themselves make all the money, they have to still stand up and say what is right. And gone, which is amazing, are the days where it's like the smart thing to do, or the right thing to do, rather. Now it's actually smart. Invest in women's sports. Pay them what they're due. And I'm I'm so glad to have been a part of this environment for so many years, because it takes a special person to be like, you know what? I didn't do enough. I'm kind of mad at myself. And it's not because I was going to get anything in return, but the reality is if you see a problem, and there's one that's existing in probably every single person's world here, in one way, shape, or form, then you need to speak up. We need to do things in different ways to get different results. Otherwise, we're just living the definition of insanity, right? If we keep operating in the same way, expecting different results, that's literally the definition of insanity. Why are we still doing things the same way? We have to shake things up. We have to do things differently. You have to raise your hand and speak up and speak out against people not respecting women. It drives me crazy because men are like, some, not the ones here, obviously. Men are like afraid. They're afraid of what they're going to lose. But really, it's what the world is losing, because when you bring more women into the fold of executive level positions, of board level positions, of decision making positions, your business actually statistically does better. Wow! Shocker! And it's not even about money, although money obviously equates to respect on some level. It's about respect. We want to be respected. We deserve to be treated with love, kindness, compassion, and respect. It's a basic human right. It really is. And I think everybody here has the ability to muster that 5% more. Take it from me. Especially later on in my career when I wasn't so wanting to do all the sprints that I had to do, you have to find that within yourself. And everybody here has it. You're here. Everybody here has the ability to muster more. And I mean, take it from me, I really did not like to do sprints, like at all. But I did it because I knew it was part of the process to get to the outcome, to get to the goal that I really wanted, whether it be winning championships or scoring goals for my country or representing my country. Sometimes you have to sacrifice, and a lot of times for something that's bigger than yourself. And that's what everybody here is a part of. You guys want to be a part of something bigger than just yourself. Do you know how inspiring that makes me? I feel like when I leave these conferences, I feel so inspired because there's so many people here that want to tackle this one problem. And we are at a tipping point, people. We are at a tipping point. And ask yourself, what side of the aisle do you want to be on? Do you want to be on the side that fought for it, that mustered the 5%, that went after it, that said, you know what, I'm not going to apologize for feeling the way I feel, because it's no longer just the right thing, the politically correct thing, it's the smart thing. You have to be strong. You have to be opinionated. You have to be able to stand up for yourself and the people next to you. My goodness, stand for something. Stand for something. If people are like, oh, I'm so not political, I'm anti-establishment, whatever, especially here in San Francisco. But if you have a belief in anything, you are political. You just may not vote. We are at a tipping point. What side of the aisle do you want to be on? I don't know. I mean, I see big picture stuff happening. I feel lucky to be a part of this. I feel lucky to be a part of this conversation. I feel like being a professional athlete wasn't even possible when I was in high school. And then it just became possible And it's not like I'm this powerful beyond person that I made this whole thing happen. It's not that. It's because collectively, all of us here energetically are putting this out into the world that something needs to change. We are at a tipping point. Do you want to be on the right side of the aisle or not? You know? Ever since I retired, people are like, what are you going to do next? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. What should I do? They're like, what do you want to do? What are you impassioned to do? I'm like, well, I think I want to change the world. And then comes the question, well, how are you going to do that? Do you guys want to help me? Because it's going to take everybody. It's not even just here. It's going to take people all over the world to collectively put all of your effort, all of your heart for this bigger picture, this bigger idea. And obviously, women empowerment, women in business, growing that world and moving beyond it is absolutely part of where I'm headed. But real, true equality, people. Not just gender, not just race, not just orientation, not just religious beliefs, not just different political beliefs. Everybody deserves to be treated with love, kindness, respect, and compassion. Yeah, it's just the truth. I really appreciate you guys letting me chat with you. It went by way too fast, my goodness. But I'll ask you again, what side of the aisle do you guys want to be on? And will you guys help me change the world? Thank you guys so much. You guys rock. Bye.